This is an instructional video on how to be able to demonstrate the Starlike grouting product. Within the Starlike is also the crystal. Both of those are demoed in the same way. So generally for a small demo, we don't use the full-size units. We use what we call a demo kit, which we label, and it's 500 grams of the product, and enables you to do 2 to 3 square foot area. So for this, we're going to use the 240, the anthracite, the black. Within the demo kit is the paste, and then also the catalyst in a small container. You open up the package that protects the catalyst, throw that away, and then I like to use a margin trowel to mix it, but I go to my restaurant supply and get a small knife to be able to do other parts of the demo, but most importantly to be able to get the maximum amount of catalyst out of this small container, because your margin trowel won't fit inside there, and this expedites the process. You can get it out faster by running your knife through there and pulling out all that you need. Throw those away. Now is when I take your traditional tile tool, which is a margin trowel, and I'm mixing this by hand, which is a no-no as far as out in the field. You never mix by hand because you may have areas that don't get fully catalyzed, and they would remain soft after the grout has set up in the other areas. So, but strictly for the demo, I'm going to mix it by hand, and this will take a few minutes. But while we're doing that, let's take a look at the different tools that we have here. This is the grout mixer, and this is made specifically for the small size pails that we ship some of the grouts in. Like for example, the most popular size of the crystal is a very small 5.5 pound, and this mixer fits nicely within there. A lot of your traditional mixers that contractors use are much larger than that, and they make a big mess of things, and you get a lot of waste all over the project. So the green float is made specifically for the Starlike product, and what you're traditionally used to is a much thicker, heavier green epoxy float, because epoxies in the past have been used strictly for big quarry tile jobs where you need a big grout float to be able to force large amounts of epoxy into the joint. With the Starlike product, although it's used in commercial projects also, it is really an artisan product, and you don't need the big, heavy, cumbersome float to do your fine mosaics and thin grout joints that are typically used. So I have mixed the black, they call anthracite, now fairly well. One of the things we like to show is if someone's ever used black grout before, they can appreciate this part of the demo, where black grout is usually carbon black as a color, and you have black everywhere. Where with this product, you can see what I've done here on just a clean piece of paper, and then literally you can just take it off. You don't have any pigment delivering the color. It's all baked onto the aggregate, and this is a really nice way to demonstrate that trait. Also, Starlike is the only product on the market that can be used 3 ways. One, it can be a setting material in addition to a grout, and it can also become a wall finish, and that is for another demo. But for right now, I'm going to take a very rough, difficult to grout tile, set it with the mortar, and then I'm going to grout it immediately. And this really shows the versatility of the product, how well it works for both the setting and the grouting. Especially if you get areas where you have like an ooze, we call it squeeze, that comes out through the grout joints. If you're setting and grouting with the same product, you can address that instantly. You don't have to come back the next day and clean the joints out of a white thin set or a gray thin set before your color goes down. So it's a big deal for an installer to be able to set and grout with the same product. Sometimes it can save entire crew days. So I'm going to take this here and bed this down. And this is a typical board that we use for our demos. It's the Go board from Johns Manville. It's a nice, lightweight, waterproof board. It makes an easy demo. We like to use the Go board product for our demos. Now what I'm going to do is this is a really rough slate. It's unsealed. Typically with a black grout, this would be very difficult to do anything with, and certainly with most of your other epoxies, this is going to be a very difficult product to grout. The epoxies are going to be very difficult on an unglazed surface like this, in a rough surface. So this really helps demonstrate how this product is really phenomenal as far as its ease of use. So I'm going to take and grout the surface. Now, with any resin grout, especially an epoxy, wherever you touch the surface with the resin, that resin is going to strike to the surface. So for this demo, I'm going to spread it all over everywhere so I get an even, what we call an enhancing effect, where that resin is going to hit the surface and will actually form a sealer on the surface there and enhance the color. So I'll show you in a minute what it looked like before and then after. Now typically what you're going to do as an installer is you're going to try to get the surface as absolutely clean as you possibly can, because that's the least amount of work to get it off the surface when it's time to tool your grout joints. Now what I'm going to do, just for effect, is kind of spread a little extra around and show you, if you have someone who's not done a good job of cleaning it up, this is really a disaster when it comes to most epoxies on the market. You're going to have something that is just really, really difficult to clean. Now keep in mind, when you're doing epoxy grout, generally we recommend wearing rubber gloves, and I will be doing that in a later demo, but I don't have any allergic reaction to the irritant profile of this grout, so I generally don't wear gloves. That is a big differentiator between the Starlike product and the other epoxies on the market, is the other epoxies are all classified as a corrosive. So this product is very installer friendly. Now, I like to use a clear or transparent pail because this really highlights one of the big benefits of this grout with not having any pigment. Now, more water is better. Now, you can always put too much of something, but you don't want to skimp with the water. You want to make sure you get the surface pretty fully wetted out, and this is not really intuitive of normal grout. What you want is you want to take the pad with no pressure and do circular motions, almost no pressure to no pressure, and just start to go across. As long as this pad, and it's a special pad we make for this product, feels lubricated, then you've got enough water. If it drags at all, wet the surface out a little bit more. And now what I'm doing here is because there's some high and low spots in there, I just want to make sure I've got it good. See, the pad here has picked up all the resin, the aggregate and the resin that needed to come off the surface, so the surface now is pretty clean. Now, here's the magic. If you can zoom in and watch this, see the white emulsion that goes in the water there, but the aggregate, since it's the color and there's no pigment, you're not going to get a really discolored water. And what you're really going to get is you're going to get the aggregate in the bottom. So later you'll see, and I don't know if you can come around and look at it now, but you can see the aggregate in the bottom there. If this was traditional black grout, my hands would be black, the table would be black, the water would be black, everything would be difficult to clean. So now, since you've got this surface ready to go, and keep in mind, I grouted and I cleaned immediately. A lot of epoxies on the market have dwell times that have to take place in between your cleanings, where you don't have that with this. So now literally, one wipe with each side of the clean sponge, and you're done. Just at this point, you can walk away. Now, there may be some areas where you want to dress it up. Like, you look as an installer, you're going to look at it and say, well, there's a low spot there, there's a high spot there. I don't have that here. It appears to be pretty good, so we're pretty much done there. So that shows how easy it is to clean a very rough surface stone with an epoxy.